Hello, 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 and welcome back to the What We Said podcast. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. I'm so excited to be here today and to be with you, but there is one other place I would rather be.
And what's that?
And that is curled up in my bed reading my book because I have 2 pages left.
Oh.
And it is such a good book. I talked about it 2 weeks ago, maybe. The Women by Kristen Hanna. Yeah. It's so good. And Kate, our friend, recommended it to us and she posted about it on her story. And she was talking about how it would get you out of a reading slump. And I've really been in a reading slump. Mm-hmm. And I've been wanting something that like draws me in and gets me back, gets the Kindle dusted off, and it delivered. It is such a good, life-changing book. I'm saving the last 2 pages for when I'm like cuddled in bed at night to read them because I started reading it this morning. I'm like, I can't finish this while I'm like brushing my teeth this morning. I have to be like in a very special place. But it's so good. Everyone needs to read it. It's
okay,
really,
I'll read it.
And I'm saying this, I haven't read a bunch of books, so don't take it from me. Take it from everyone else who has said that. And I'm just...
You're echoing their statement.
Yeah, I'm echoing how good and how inspirational it was. I was sobbing. I cried. It's just a beautiful story about women.
I am going to read it. I just finished Lisa Marie Presley's book.
Oh yeah, how was
memoir. It was so good. I also feel that way where I'm just like, it's a really, really good book. Like I would recommend it to you. I'd recommend it to anyone. It's super fascinating. It also is heartbreaking, and there's a lot of heavy themes and topics in it. Just given her life story, I think that makes sense. But it also was very inspiring. I feel like I learned a lot from it's kind of like I was saying last week, that you can learn so much from memoirs or autobiographies, like from people's mistakes or their regrets or just their experiences in life. I feel like it's so easy to have like takeaways from those types of books. I'm sure you kind of feel that way with this book too, where it's like, it just inspires you. And yeah, I had a lot of takeaways from it. I don't even know where to begin, but I would highly recommend. It's called From Here to the Great Unknown, and I listened to it on audiobook. Riley's voice is super soothing. The daughter, she narrates part of it, like her parts of it. But yeah, it was really, really good.
Nice.
I loved it.
Need to read it. Yeah, now I'm back. So I think I'm going to read The Nightingale next. I know it's also sad.
Yes.
But there's something to be said about, I was thinking about the difference between TikTok sad and like TikTok, because one of the main reasons I wanted to get off TikTok was like for my anxiety of just like horrible things happening and seeing it. And then I'm reading a book about the Vietnam War, and it's just so sad and so dark and so heavy, but it's also so inspiring and so light. And not that those, TikToks can't be, but it's so short and unexpected. This is like digestible. It's like it actually is helping you cope with hard things in life instead of like throwing someone else's trauma at you and you get no background, you get no context, you get no anything else.
That's what we're missing is context,
yes.
I think.
And just like their thoughts and how they dealt with it and just the whole story. And so it's all around. This book is so sad, but it's been so good. Like I don't go to bed thinking, no, I'm sad. I'm thinking like, wow, we can do hard things.
Yeah. I love that.
Instead of just like, wow, I was not expecting that. Except for
very jarring.
Yes, exactly. I have been on Reels a bit more. And I fear it's just the same thing as TikTok. And I could be, I got to be careful. It's a slippery slope too.
Yeah. I was going to ask how your TikTok free life is.
Oh, it's amazing.
Really?
Yes. I miss my TikTok. Like I miss like seeing myself. No, I miss my friends on TikToks, like seeing my friends' TikToks, the people I love following TikToks. And I love seeing like even people who comment on my TikToks, like the community.
Yeah.
I wish I could really tailor TikTok better, but until then, it's just.
I heard you can get it back now in the App Store, so it's available to you. That's available. The good news is that
I'm staying strong.
Okay,
yeah,
love it.
I'll be back someday. I will, but for now, it's just a good break.
Yeah, I think we all need a break sometimes.
Yeah. Do you know what's really vulnerable though? Speaking of Reels, is that you can see what people liked on Reels.
Yeah.
That is
very vulnerable.
Very telling. I'm calling Tyson out right now. I saw him like a thirst trap of Dylan Efron, so he's been watching.
Ooh, got him.
He just sent a screenshot to Tyson. Caught you slipping. I was like, what is this? Well, I watch Traitors too. Wait, have you been watching?
Yes, I've been watching. Don't give me spoilers.
Well, it just Dylan Efron is on there, and he's a good-looking young man.
Yeah.
Such a sweetie. Love him.
Yeah.
And so obviously it would make sense that he's on my For You page because I'm watching Traitors and I get Traitors reels and stuff like that. But one of Dylan Efron's just face, and it's like he's literally like in the shower or something. There's water coming down his face. And I just see one of my friends has liked it. It's Tyson.
Stop. That is hilarious.
But it's so, I don't like reels. I'm too scared.
Here's the thing.
Like I don't I'm saying I don't physically like them.
Oh, that's terrifying. What is the general, well, I don't want to give any spoilers away. I was going to ask, like, what is the general consensus on, I need to tell my Traitors? Consensus on Boston Rob before I ask, I guess, because I need to stand firm in my own.
Okay.
My own thoughts and opinions before I ask, like, you know, what is everyone feeling and thinking? Mm-hmm. Maybe it changes throughout it.
Okay. But so how far are you?
Episode 5 or 6.
Okay.
I don't know how many there are. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers away to anyone else. Oh, okay. I'm just saying, based on what I've seen so far, okay, which is I've watched him on, I've actually never seen his OG Survivor season, so I know that's important context. Mm-hmm. I've seen edits and things about it, and then I've seen him on Deal or No Deal Island, and I've seen him on Traitors.
Yes.
Which has led me to one conclusion, that he is daddy. Yeah. I'm obsessed with him.
That is the right conclusion.
Everything and more. Mm-hmm. He makes me feel safe. He makes me feel protected. Yes. And he is daddy.
Yeah.
That is where I've come.
I see the tears welling up in your eyes. I love it. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with him.
No, I'm obsessed with him too.
Why is he he's everything to me.
He's so comforting. But he's kind of like bad boy at the same time.
I know. Something about him. I'm just like, I will eat up and I'm like, I am so pick me, because if I was there and he was like, we should vote this person, I'd be like, 100% yes. Like, and he would literally fool me every time. Like anything he did, he would pull the wool over my eyes. I would be such a loyal follower to him.
Yes. And that's how he won his season.
He's everything.
Not Traitors. That's not a spoiler. Of Survivor. Is he literally got like 3 girls just under his wing and was like, hey, you guys want to go to the end? And they're like, yes, daddy. And then just took him to the end. That is a spoiler. Sorry. That was literally like 20 years ago though. So if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. We can spoil shows that are over 10 years old.
Yeah. No, that is the right consensus.
Okay, good.
Wait, so maybe you haven't seen that part, so I won't say it. But yeah, there's certain parts on Traitors that I've seen go around reels. Now I'm that person. But I
need to show you this TikTok
just being very comforting.
Also, the way that TikTok can sway me. Like I'll see one TikTok edit of someone, I'm like, I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I did see an edit of him and I'm like, and they say daddy's home.
Literally.
Wow. I love him.
He's the best.
I remember that I was asking you like his persona or whatever, or how people received him on Survivor. You were kind of saying that people didn't like him. And I was like, okay, that's shocking to me.
Well, the people on Survivor I don't think like him as much as people who watch Survivor love him.
Okay.
When you're on the season with him, you don't, I mean, maybe they like him, but they don't like him. It's like playing a game with my dad, for instance. Like he always wins. I love my dad. He's fun to play with, but it's just like, you're just get this guy out of this game. Setting, like he's gonna win. He's annoying me. He's so good at this game, and he's fooling everyone.
Gotcha.
Like,
okay,
I don't want to play with him. Basically, I don't want to play with him. I like him, but I don't want to play with him.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
There was this one part in Traitors where he's like telling this girl, he's like, "Oh yeah, this person." Again, no spoilers, but he's like, "This person said this about you." She was like, oh, "You're kidding!" And then it like flashes to him. He's like, "That person didn't say that to her." He's like, "I made it up." Like,
no,
why is he so good at these games?
Yeah.
It's crazy how he will literally run things.
Like, he's like cutthroat.
Yes, in every game I've ever seen him play, I'm like, how are you so good at this? Yes. You're running the whole thing.
He is also, you know what his birthday is?
What?
December 25th. He's a Capricorn.
My king.
I know.
I liked him.
He said his birthday and Nick and I were like, oh my gosh, that's so much. Obviously, it's Case's birthday.
Yeah.
Too. And he's a Capricorn. I'm like, that makes so much sense. And that kind of reminds me of Case a little bit, because we always say Case could be a cult leader because he's just so like he convinces everything's your idea,
Yeah.
but it's actually not. Like, you didn't come up with it, but he tells you it's your idea. And he's like, yeah, isn't that so fun? You get to do this, you know? But we love a Capricorn King.
Love him.
Yeah.
I'm excited to keep watching. I'm locked in.
That's great.
We had Danny's little murder mystery party, 60s themed. It was so fun. If you guys saw our Instagram, a little, some photos we posted.
How could you miss him?
It was so fun to it literally felt like we transported to another time.
Yeah.
And we had a playlist going that was kind of 60s-ish themed. We were all dressed up. We did a little murder mystery. And I just loved it. I loved every second. Fun. I ate it all up.
I came a little bit later, just like a couple hours later than everyone else. So when I walked into the house, it was already, the sun had set. I drove up to this beautiful Airbnb that was giving Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or I don't even know what it was giving. Don't Worry, Darling. That
yes.
era. And I walk in and I don't see anybody, but I'm hearing like, be my, like 60s music blaring. And I walk in and I see JC's already in her outfit and everyone's in their outfits already. I felt like I walked into a movie. Like, it was the best feeling ever. I was just like, I love escapism.
I love escaping my real world.
Yeah, it was
so fun. It was so fun. And I want to make a video about like themed parties. I was going to make a TikTok. I'll have to send it to you.
Yeah, please.
You know what? I got desperate the other day. I saved a TikTok to text you.
Oh,
I forgot to send it to you, but I'll send it to you later. But I also want to respect your boundaries and not like make you miss TikTok. So then I haven't been sending you stuff because I'm like, I don't want her to be like, I'm missing out.
Me.
Okay. It's an ultimate test.
Okay.
So I'll send you that later. But I want to make a video. Maybe at this point I already have, but I want to like show just like themed parties and things that we've done in the past.
Give people ideas.
Yeah, because it's so much fun. I love a theme and I love a little girls' night. Always will.
A little girls' night, not a little girls' night.
Please. I'm like, I love hanging out with little girls. It's so fun to be a girl, for a night.
It is.
Just
for a night.
Just for a night. And just kind of curate a situation with a playlist and food and a feeling,
And pictures.
Yes, always.
Don't forget the photos, honey.
I also wanted to say that I downloaded Ina Garten's book.
Okay.
Wanted to update you guys, and I will let you know how I like it. I have a feeling it's going to be really good. I'm now in I meant to bring this up earlier.
I don't know what the hell that is.
You don't know who Ina Garten is? No. Chelsea.
I was waiting for more explanation.
I don't know what the hell that is insane about Ina Garten. That's crazy.
Wait, let me see a picture. Let me look it up.
She's like Martha Stewart 2.0.
2.0 as in she came first, or? I don't mean to sound ridiculous. I don't know what this man is. I could see him walking down the street. Wouldn't know a thing.
Chelsea, you can't.
That name, I know that name. I've heard that name.
You can't possibly be in your Martha Stewart era without knowing about Ina Garten.
Oh, that picture I've seen. Now that picture I've seen, I'm not kidding.
She's, I mean, honestly, to be fair, I don't know that much about her either, but she had like...
Yeah, why'd you buy her book then if you know so much about her?
Why did I?
I'm kidding.
Like, no, I have to ride or die for her. She's like
what's her sign?
She's, like very big in the food space, like Food Network, had a Food Network show, owned a food store or whatever, like a
that sounds familiar.
Have you heard of Barefoot Contessa?
No, I know that term. It's not like the first time I've ever heard that name, but I just, when you were like her book, I'm like, okay, and is this a fantasy novel? What's happening?
Yeah, it is a fantasy novel of sorts. Me fantasizing about being her.
Okay, so it's her cookbook?
No, it's like her memoir.
Oh, okay.
So it's talking about how she, got to where she is, basically. And
which
you need
to download it.
Which is,
I'm obviously kidding. I respect her already.
to be
love
fair,
and respect her.
I really don't know that much about her. I mean, I do know who she is, but I didn't know a ton about her. She's also a little before our time, though. She's in her 70s now.
Yeah.
I think she's probably older than Martha Stewart. Do you know how old Martha Stewart is?
In her 70s.
Yeah, let me see. 83?
Martha Stewart is 83?
83.
Wow.
Okay,
I guess
so
that makes sense.
Ina's a little younger than her then.
How old is Ina?
Did you just call her Ina?
Didn't you just say Ina?
Oh, wait, sorry. It is Ina. I thought you said Ida.
Literally says it 1 second before me.
Sorry, in my head
me?
you said Ida. And then it made no sense. She's 77.
Okay.
So she's 6 years younger than Martha.
Okay.
But, I mean, they have very different vibes.
Yeah.
But
she's more
kind of those like homemaker, icons.
Okay. Does she have a brand? Because I feel like that's where I've seen that before.
Let me see if she has a brand currently. I know she has like tons of cookbooks. She's written 13 cookbooks.
Oh, wow. Well, I came into the homemaking space 2 days ago. So I've got some catching up to do, obviously.
I did too. And I still only know how to make avocado toast. Yeah. So, I'm talking a big game. But that just killed me of what is that? Like, as if she's what the hell is that? Literally about her name. Like, I am screaming. I'm sure you'll love the book. I mean, I just started reading it, but I meant to bring that up earlier. Anyway, those are my updates. Let's get into the advice.
We're in our book era.
Yeah, we are.
Books era.
I have other things that I'll update you on next week that I'm becoming obsessed with, but let me cook a little bit metaphorically because I need to dive deeper into them before I share them with the class.
Okay.
Sounds good. I do not play around when it comes to my bedroom, my sanctuary at night, my nighttime routine, all of those things. And Cozy Earth products really can transform your 5 to 9, okay? The time that matters the most, which is the time that you are resting and sleeping. Cozy Earth has some of the softest sheets I've ever felt in my life. They're bamboo. Luxury starts where you rest, and your bedroom should be more than just a place where you sleep. It should be a retreat. I really, truly believe that. You should feel so comfy and cozy and zen when you are in your bedroom at night. And kind of perfecting my nighttime routine and my bedding and the pajamas I'm wearing and all of that, like that all goes together to create a vibe at night. And that helps me sleep so much better personally. So Cozy Earth's best-selling bamboo sheets are buttery soft, temperature regulating, and they're crafted for 5-star comfort every night. They also have luxe bath sheets, bringing a spa-like softness into your home. They're oversized. The bath sheets are huge, which I will never go back to use any other towel other than a bath sheet. It is a must. They're also ultra absorbent and super soft. You can transform your space risk-free with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty, all on Cozy Earth bedding and bath products. So you can love them or you can send them back, but trust me, you won't want to. Luxury shouldn't be out of reach. Visit CozyEarth.com and use our exclusive code, What We Said, for 40% off best-selling sheets, towels, pajamas, and more. And if you get a post-purchase survey, let them know that you heard about Cozy Earth right here at the What We Said podcast. Sanctuary awaits at Cozy Earth. Go check it out. Starting with advice. You want to go first?
Yes. JC and Chelsea, please. I love you guys in the pod so much. Literally gets me through my daily commutes. Your turn. Just kidding. What? I just read all the compliments. Literally gets me through my daily commutes. And so that is why I must share my problems with y'all and get some advice from you too. Okay, here it goes. My boyfriend and I have been together since our senior year of high school, so almost 8 years. He's my best friend. He's kind and always takes care of me. We've never had any terrible arguments or fights. We have great communication and always work things out because ultimately we both know we want to be together forever and get married.
Hold on, she said they've been dating 8 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is what brings me to my problem today. Marriage is genuinely my Roman Empire. I seriously don't know if a day has gone by in the past 2.5 years where I don't think about getting married to my boyfriend. I fantasize about the wedding, our special day, and our future together. I love to always casually bring it up, always joking about when he's going to propose, or sending TikToks about, hey, this is your sign that your boyfriend should propose to you. Or I send videos of beautifully documented weddings, or I will say things like, oh, we should definitely do this on our wedding day. He always entertains the idea and agrees with me. Sometimes he'll say yes soon or in the future, but it just feels like he doesn't take it as seriously as I do. And how I want it to be so soon, he looks like it could be, and how I want it to be so soon, he looks like it could be in the next 4 years. I come from a family where people get married young, and that always is what I've wanted, especially when we both know we want to be together in the end. I just feel like he's waiting for the perfect time or when we get older, when in fact we're both 25. I don't feel like that's incredibly young anymore. We definitely would be the first ones out of our friends to get married, but we're also the ones who have been together the longest by quite a bit. I feel like I always bring it up and always kind of just comes off as, yeah, duh, of course we're going to be together. What's the rush? How do I get it across that I want it to be soon? Do I give him an ultimatum? Do I get angry at him? Do I start a fight? I just don't know how to be any more clear about it. I would love to get engaged this year and hopefully get married early next year if it's possible. I know you both got married young. How did it happen? And I know it had to do with your culture and where you lived, and maybe that's not common here in New England. But I just want to get engaged and married to my boyfriend. How do I make that clear to him? Help me, girls. A desperate girly who's been in a long-term relationship is ready to become a fiance. Okay, I do see how around the 8-year mark, you start to get a little antsy. Regardless of age, I do feel like most people, it's not weird that you're getting antsy about that and that you're starting to really consider, especially at 25, even though that is young, you're not a baby.
Yeah.
You know, you are starting to near your late 20s, which is your 30s right around the corner. And so that is kind of when you start to think, you start to plan your future a little bit more.
I think it's fair for her to want to get married at this age or want to get engaged at this age. Like, that's not crazy to me. If you were 20, 21, I'd be like, maybe give it a second. This is a tough one. And I feel like her asking for our advice of like, how did it happen for us? I feel like because the culture, like speaking personally, I feel like was the main, like you can't basically take away that part of it.
Yeah.
Because that is such a huge part.
Yeah.
Like it is different. It was different back then because of the culture that we grew up in. I feel like that's the main reason that that Leif and I got engaged so fast and married so fast. I still always think like that Leif and I would have gotten married. I just think it would have been, if we weren't in that culture, I think it would have been a lot longer. Like if that didn't exist, I fully believe we would still choose each other, but I think that it would be like years down the line if we weren't born and raised in that environment.
Yeah.
So that to me is kind of impossible for me to like give advice or talk about because I think like you can't have one without the other. Like that was the reason it happened so soon. So there was my point is there wasn't any of me being like, I really want it now. It's like, we just both knew
that was the next thing.
Yes, that's the next thing. And we're probably getting engaged in the next few months, you know? So that's hard for me to give personal experience advice on. I think it's valid to feel like you want that. However,
I think some men have, well, obviously they don't have the biological clock that we do. They can have kids till I don't even know their biology. And honestly, I don't really care to know about their biology, like how long they can have kids for.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Inevitably, we know there is a time where we won't be able to have kids anymore. So there is such an obvious time restraint for girls. So we're obviously always the one thinking about it because it's going to be like, okay, so if we get engaged, then we have a year of engagement, then I want to be married for 2 years or 3 years or whatever before we start trying. So then you have to do the math.
You're doing math, yeah.
Yeah, you can't just say, well, we'll see what happens. Most people aren't like that. Most girls are like, okay, if I want to have kids, I have to do it with this amount of time. And then if I want to have time before that and not be in a rush.
Yeah.
So I don't, in this situation, if he's not making you feel any uncertainty of like how much he cares about you and how much he wants it to be you, I really wouldn't stress about it too much. I get though the fear that you don't want any more of your time to be wasted. Like,
if he's not sure if it's you, that's a different story.
Yes.
If you're 1,000% like, no, we definitely are getting married. It's just about the time. You also, I feel like in that case, almost need to let go of, okay, we have to get married at this age and I have to be engaged for this long. And then I want to be married for 2 years before we get married.
Yes.
Like you can't always, coming from someone who tried to plan my exact timeline of like having kids specifically, obviously didn't go to plan. Like I wanted to get pregnant when I was 25. That was my plan.
Yeah.
Didn't happen until I was like basically 30.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes you just can't plan your life so meticulously. And if you're with the right person and you feel confident in that, I think those details are less important. You can obviously have something you would prefer that you would like. But I think like if you guys are together, you're together. It doesn't, in my mind, like it's not so important that it's like, You know what I mean? The timing of like, we have to be married for this long before we have kids. It's like, you're if you're already like living together or you're together. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it would be more of a discussion of, instead of dropping hints about a wedding and saying these things about being proposed to, you know, because we're in a modern world, kind of discuss maybe his thoughts on marriage and like get a clear picture of what he sees his life as. Like, okay, do you want to be married for a while before we have kids? What do you want to have? I mean, I'm sure you've had these conversations, but just make sure you're getting a clear picture of what he wants and what he thinks about marriage, because sometimes they don't even think about it. Like if he's starting to go, oh wait, yeah, actually I do want to have kids by the time I'm 40, or like, you know, just certain things, and he's like, oh, I guess maybe I do have to get married soon. Sometimes they just don't think about it that far ahead.
Well, because of the biological clock, they haven't grown up thinking about that. So I think it is less important to them. Not that they shouldn't think about it. Like, they should definitely consider you, and they should consider the situation. But maybe it doesn't come as naturally to be like planning out their life as much like that.
Yes. And I think honesty obviously is always the best policy, but just being clear about why you would want to get married. Because maybe he's just like, oh, she likes weddings. She wants to have a big party. Like, yeah, I get it.
She wants a ring.
That's not the reason to do that, you know? So maybe if you sit down with him and say, listen, I really want to get married in the next couple years. Like, it's not an ultimatum, but like, I would really like to seal the deal with you in this amount of time. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
If he's like, no, like, I guess he said in the next 4 years. And I guess if you're not okay with that, then
that could be a deal breaker. Yeah.
But if you are okay with that, if you can be okay with that, maybe you can compromise.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, maybe in 2 years we can get engaged or something.
I don't think it has to be as intense as an ultimatum as much of like a very clear expectation. It's like, well, just so you know, this is what I'm expecting. Yeah. If you can't give me that, like, that is an issue for me. Like if you cannot, like, I want to get married in the next 2 years. If that's not, I feel like if he loves you and if you guys are on the same page, like, you should be able to make that work, you know?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. I feel like if you are genuinely on the edge of giving an ultimatum, is that the right term? Like if you're really wanting to give an ultimatum, you feel like that's your last resort, you need to break up.
Yeah.
Ultimatums never work. I really swear on that. I mean, maybe not swear on that because someone's gonna be like, I did an ultimatum, it worked, but most of the time they don't work. And if you're feeling like you need to give an ultimatum, it's because they are not giving you certainty and you really want that certainty of your relationship.
They're not giving you something that you are needing.
It doesn't sound like she was kind of joking when she's like, should I do ultimatum? Should I do this? But I think if it does eventually get to that point where you're like, I just have to do an ultimatum, then.
Because also.
Haven't you seen the show?
That's such an indication too of like where. To me, that's starting off on a bad foot. If you're having to give an ultimatum and he's not giving you what you want, and it's just like you're starting off your lifelong commitment to each other on like a very rocky, weird footing. To me, it's like if he can't even give you that, like certainty with that he wants to be with you and like he will propose in the next few years or something. To me, that's a bigger problem. Because it's like, okay, then what about when this happens? Are you going to give me certainty? Like, it just feels like this is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. It's not to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, girls. Desperately want to know what you think I should do about my 2-year-long feud with my neighbor.
Oh, no.
To set the scene, my now husband and my wedding got canceled in 2021 because of the pandemic. So we decided to do things out of order and buy a house while we waited for the world to open back up. After a crazy house hunt, we finally landed our dream first home with a yard for our 2 pups and space to start a family. We're 10 minutes from work and 2 blocks from the cutest stretch of coffee shops, small businesses, etc.
Oh my gosh, sounds amazing.
The only downside is all of the houses are very close together. We were so relieved when we met our next door neighbors before we moved in because they seemed really nice and normal. Well, on our move-in day, there were trucks in our driveway because they were having work done on their house, so we couldn't really get into our own driveway. We brushed it off and figured they ran it past the previous owners and they forgot to mention it.
Oh, they had parked trucks in there. Like the neighbors' trucks were in this girl's driveway.
Okay. We brushed it off, they figured they ran it past the previous owners and they just forgot to mention it. They popped out and apologized and said it would only be a few hours. No biggie. Things were good for about a year until one day she texted me and asked if I minded not letting our dogs outside for a few hours while her sick child napped. Because she was afraid if they heard something and barked, it would wake her up. Again, pushing boundaries a bit, but it wasn't a problem, so I said, of course. Well, a few days passed and I was coming home from work, so my husband let the dogs out per usual to greet me, and they excitedly woofed, and we headed inside truly 30 seconds later. I check my phone and get this text, your dogs are barking, bring them inside. I was shocked. I didn't respond because literally what? All right, so now we don't run into each other for a while, but my husband has a major back surgery. She sees us coming in from the hospital, asks what happened, and said to let her know if we need anything. Okay, maybe things are back to normal. No. I'm driving one day and keep getting Ring doorbell notifications. My husband is home with a literal broken back, and he calls me saying she came over and asked if we could agree to never let our dogs out between 1 and 3 and after 7 p.m. when her kids are sleeping, because though our dogs don't bark often, the risk of it was making her too anxious. My sweet husband told her he's sure that's hard, but we unfortunately can't do that. She said, we don't understand because we don't have kids. We were struggling to get pregnant back then and now doing IVF. She even offered to make us dinner once a week if he agreed to her request, which he politely declined. She stormed off and told him he's rude, and we have essentially just glared at each other when we crossed paths since. We caught her going into our backyard on our doorbell a few times, so we put a lock on our fence. She cornered my husband, I think my glares are mightier than his, and asked him to remove it in case she ever needs to access our yard in case of an emergency. He said sorry, but we can't.
Remove the Ring camera?
Remove the lock.
Oh.
She was going to their backyard, and so they put a lock on it. And she said, please remove that in case I need to get in there in an emergency.
Okay,
what emergency is going to need, why are you going to need access to my backyard?
Why is she in your yard?
He said, sorry, but we can't because we saw someone going back there without permission. She was shocked, which is hilarious since he was talking about her. Anyway, the tension I feel anytime we cross paths, which is a lot, is getting to be annoying, but I worry if I loosen up and start being cordial, she'll walk all over us. What would you do? We'll probably be neighbors for at least another 7 years, and that's such a long time to give someone the silent treatment. Please help.
Oh, that sucks.
I fully believe the silent treatment is the only way.
That sucks.
Literally pretend they don't exist and get them out of your mind. You don't have to cater your life to them. And I feel like I'm trying to put myself in her shoes. And again, I've had some neighbor and some previous owner issues. So I can get there. I'm
trying really hard. I can't picture that.
I feel like the thing about don't let your dogs ever out from 1 to 3 and then past 7. It's like, okay, now you're encroaching so much on my life and making my life feel stressful.
Yeah.
If my dogs, they got let out and it was 2 p.m. It's like, no. I'm going to live my life. Mm-hmm. I do think it's annoying. We actually have some neighbors. They're a few doors down, so they're not our direct, next door neighbors who have dogs that bark so much and so loud. But again, it's not close enough to really care. Mostly it's when we go on walks. They're always in the front yard and they bark so loud. I would be lying if I said I don't care. I think it is incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
Again, because I'm not their next door neighbor, I don't hear it all day. But these dogs bark a lot. And when you walk past them, they go crazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't even sound like your dogs do that. But I guess I'm just trying to see her side of okay, it is annoying when dogs are barking, but
it is annoying when dogs are barking. It is annoying when your neighbor's dog bark, but it also at the same time, it's not your house. It's not your dogs.
No.
It's not your circus. It's not your monkeys. It's you can't be saying, get your dogs to stop barking. That's just life. It's okay, well, I don't like the toys in your yard. They're an eyesore. Get them out of your
right.
It's just
not
that's my
space.
house. Yeah, I understand the noise of it, and I feel like most HOAs have, if you do have an HOA, they have certain rules of obviously you're not going to let your dogs out in the middle of the night. And if your dogs are barking in the middle of the night when everyone's sleeping, but at such a weird hour, 1 to 3, it's okay, so my dog can't go outside and sunbathe?
No.
I can't let my dogs out to go pee between these times?
No, to live your life under those
that's my
constraints.
House. Those are my dogs. Yeah.
Yes, is annoying. And I actually do think that you're correct in saying if you get more cordial, she'll take advantage. I think that some people are just like that, and you kind of have to just be very blunt. That's honestly with our neighbor situation, that's kind of the place we got to. When they had asked about the plants for the millionth time, Leif said we're basically we're not discussing the plants any further, and we'd appreciate if you don't ever bring this up again. And that was pretty not rude, but pretty straightforward. And they did luckily respect that. We haven't had any issues, but I will also say it's not we're besties and I'm going over to their house all the time. It's I feel the message was received. And to me, I'm just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like that, I would rather that than like have this weird relationship with them where they're like, sometimes with certain people, like even this, where it's like, I'll bring you dinner once a week if you don't let your dogs out I'm like, bring back like, normalize not having a relationship with your neighbors. Like that's annoying to me.
Yeah.
To have like an agreement like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, especially because you don't even like her
No,
really.
exactly.
It's like, I don't want dinner from you. I don't want to have these conversations and these interactions.
Yeah.
You stress me out. Let's just like not talk.
Yeah. Honestly, it sounds like to bring empathy into it, it sounds like this mom is very overwhelmed, very overstimulated. And like my own dog barking overstimulates me when my kids are napping.
Definitely.
So I can understand that aspect of oh my gosh, these dogs are going to wake up my baby. Like that's pissing me off.
Yeah.
However, that's not your problem to fix. That's her own problem. Like that's her journey that she needs to work on. It's not your job to fix that or to help her not be so overstimulated necessarily.
Because she said the thought of it is giving her anxiety. Not
that's
even
what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like she's obviously very overstimulated, very anxious, which is very common for mothers,
Yeah.
especially if she has young children who are napping. Like again, I 100%
very valid, but doesn't mean it's your problem.
Yes, but it's not your problem to fix or to like adjust your life. Again, I do believe in decency where it's like if there is a request from your neighbor that's really easy and doesn't bother you, it's like, oh, great. Yeah. If you kind of are on this, you're neighbors. And so you're like, we will be there for each other. We're helping each other. We're right next to each other. So, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you can't depend on them either, it's like, well, then this is not even a beneficial relationship. Like, I'm not going to do nice things for you because you're really not even trying to be there for me, or I can't even rely on you. So it's not like you're trying to be neighborly. It's like you're just trying to have your life improved and not even thinking about me at all.
Exactly.
So that is sticky though. I think it just sucks that you can't. It's just nice to have good neighbors. And if you don't, it really sucks.
It does.
You're just like, well, what a waste.
Yeah.
Like, this could be a great thing that we could have. Neighbors are great because you don't have to be best friends with them, but you're around them all the time.
Yeah.
So you just naturally, like, I love, not to brag, not a subtle flex, but I love our neighbors. Like, on both sides, they're super nice. We see them. Obviously, they're both a little older. They have, like, older kids. Not little kids, but they are, so that's nice. They're not like, oh, my kid's napping or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to be able to, you don't have to have dinners every night and, like, be super close. But at the same time, you can rely on them. And like, I can text and be like, hey, can you go let Sophie in? Or can you go do this? Like, can you pop into our backyard? Or she asked me to do stuff like that. Or we drop things off at her house. Like, that's a nice relationship.
Yes, it is.
Where it's not, you don't want to feel, what's the word I'm looking for? When you are, in agreement. You are like bound by something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you have expectations to be like, well, you have to bring me dinner and I'll bring my dogs.
No,
And
exactly.
okay,
like
that's
such
weird.
a specific exchange. It's like and let me be clear, like my neighbors are actually like, there's no problem.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we're not like, hey, pop in. Cause we're like, you've crossed boundaries before. So we're not going to like.
Very hesitant.
Yes. I feel more like a little on edge to be like, hey, I'm going to bring this by your house. Cause I'm like, if I unfortunately give you an inch, I fear you'll take a mile. So I try and not, but I have and I've had experience where I've had great neighbors too. Like in our last place, we had like asked them to help Leif, take something in, and they'd be like, hey, can you grab this? And it is super nice to feel like you have someone to rely on. So it is very annoying to not have great neighbors. However, she said they're going to be their neighbors for like, 7 years. That is a long time, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think giving space, and her kids will not be
little forever.
And they won't be taking naps at that time, I'm sure, forever.
Right.
And maybe things will get better and she will kind of
loosen up a bit.
Maybe she just, I don't know if she just, I guess also the dynamic of her kind of holding her kids, like, you don't understand because you don't have kids. And then the dynamic of her being like, well, I'm literally trying to get pregnant. So that's extremely offensive to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dynamics adds a lot of layers. Yeah. There's just like, okay, we're not
seeing eye to eye. Yes.
Yeah.
Give it a second.
Yes.
Give it some breathing
100%.
room. Okay, it's your turn.
Wow.
I am so excited for this new sponsor, Vivrel. I have a lot of friends who've used Vivrel, and I've seen a lot of people on social media too. Like, I'll see them have a cute bag or a cute accessory, and they got it via Vivrel. So basically, it is a members only club providing members access to borrow designer handbags, jewelry, watches, and diamonds. This is so nice if you have certain events coming up or photo shoots or anything of the sort where you would like a designer bag or like a really pretty piece of jewelry that's more expensive, but you don't want to buy it just to wear it this one time or just to wear it a few times. It's so nice to be able to borrow those things and pay a fraction of the price. So members can treat the Vivrel closet like their own and can borrow anything within their tier. They have like different tiered memberships from brands including Chanel, Hermes, Miu Miu, The Row, Prada, Louis Vuitton, and more.
And the amazing thing is that Vivrel has no return dates. So you can swap items if you're a member once per month, or you can keep items for as long as you would like. So memberships start at $45 a month. And this is such a genius just company and idea, because I have so many times in my life been eyeing a bag, lusting for a bag, and just not being able to justify, like, how long am I going to really like this bag? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the down payment? And this is great because you can try it out and see if it is a bag that you want for a long time or if it's just something that will fade in a couple months. So you guys can use the code What We Said to get to the top of the Vivrel waitlist and 30% off your first 4 months of membership, which is so amazing.
It's nice because you can use it for a season. I feel like that's a really good idea. Like, if you have a bag in mind that you want for the fall or for the summer, whatever season we're going into, you can use this membership and just use it for the next couple months. Go with a bunch of your outfits, and then you can swap it and have a new vibe.
So go to www.vivrel.com and apply for a membership today using code What We Said for 30% off 4 months of membership. The code will also allow you to skip the Vivrel waitlist. That's VIVRELLE.com and use the code What We Said for 30% off 4 months of membership. Go check it out. Dear Chelsea and JC, buckle up because I need some guidance. I'm married into a family that doesn't really care about health and wellness, like at all. Even though they've had their fair share of health issues. They've talked about waiting to make changes. My mother-in-law even got liposuction before our wedding. But my husband and I both know she's more about quick fixes than actual effort. If there's a shortcut, she'll take it, but that doesn't stop her from keeping up habits that completely undo those efforts. One of those habits, drinking. She's borderline an alcoholic, but I honestly don't think she realizes it. She straight up admitted to lying to her doctors about how many glasses of wine she has. And I swear she wakes up in the morning looking forward to her nightly pour or two. His sister and I have done workout classes together before, but that fizzled out fast. Meanwhile, I've spent years building my routine. I go to the gym every day, I eat well, and meal prepping is just my normal. It's not some grueling sacrifice, it's just how I live. But I get that for some people it looks impossible, like some kind of Olympic level discipline.
She's like, I get that I'm literally an Olympic athlete and they're losers, but I'm dead.
I'm screaming. The problem, even though I don't restrict myself at family gatherings, I eat whatever's there and enjoy it, they still make these weird comments. Oh, we got you a gluten-free, dairy-free pizza, despite the fact that I have never in my life avoided gluten or dairy. Or, we got you a salad since we know you're watching what you eat. As if I'm some delicate health freak who can't function in the presence of normal food. I've told them they don't need to go out of their way for me, but it still happens. Honestly, it's starting to wear on me. I don't know if it's their own insecurity creeping in or if they just assume my lifestyle is miserable and restrictive. Either way, I don't want to sound defensive, but I also don't want to keep dealing with these awkward moments. How do I shut this down in a way that sets the record straight and keeps the peace? Sincerely, thriving, not depriving. Screaming. I am dead at the Olympic level discipline comment. That is hilarious. She's like, I don't know why they can't get it through their thick, lazy skulls. That it just takes a little effort to be healthy, you pigs. Wow, this is very complicated and also very
I would be extremely annoyed by this as well.
Yes.
Like, to give validation, that's extreme.
Yeah, it's very annoying. Like, coming from someone who was vegan for almost 8 years, and I was obviously restrictive, so if they gave me that, I'd be like, thank you very much. Yeah. I love it. It's just annoying to feel like you have to defend anything that you're doing, especially when you're doing something together. okay, for example, we would be like at a restaurant and people are like, well, come on, why can't you just eat steak? And it's like, I'm vegan and I have very specific reasons for not eating meat. Obviously, I didn't like fall into being a vegan and just be like, oh, I didn't even know meat existed. It's like, oh, you want me to tell you about why I don't eat meat while you're eating meat? Like, this is causing a very weird conversation in this moment. That's kind of the same thing with health things. It's like, oh, well, you're weird about restrictive and you want to be like, because I care about my health. And but then you sound condescending because you're like, well, unlike you, losers, I care about what I put into my body. You know? And it's probably so just both sides are just feeling a little. But I also do understand if his family is feeling judged by you a bit. You know, if you I'm not saying you are giving off this aura, but maybe they sense that you have a bit of a superiority complex about it. Maybe. Yeah. And not basing that off your writing or anything, but they could be getting that sense from you. So then it creates a little bit of a
divide.
Yes. Tension.
I don't know what there is to say to them to shut it down without being extremely rude. Yeah. I'm trying to think of genuinely a good response. Like, even, I mean, you already said this, but if they're like, we got you a gluten-free, dairy-free pizza, I'd be like, oh, I'm neither of those things. Yeah. Like, that's nice of you guys, but I'm not gluten-free or dairy-free. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm fine to just eat what you guys eat. It sounds like you already have said that, so I don't know in how many ways you can be like, you don't need to cater to me. Like, you can repeatedly say that. You know, this stuck with me. Haven't used it yet. Haven't found the opportunity, but this stuck with me from...
You practice it in the shower, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is... if they make a comment about, you know, you being restrictive or about your habits or your body, like something very personal, just be like, oh, that's a weird thing to say out loud. Mm-hmm. I think that's a universally good way to make someone feel stupid.
Silly.
Like, oh, that was weird. Like, that's really weird that you just said that out loud. I feel like if someone said that to me, I'd be like, bye. I'm going in my closet. Like, I would feel so dumb. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of rude. It's kind of a rude thing to say. But if they are being like extremely judgmental and they make a comment, I think that's only really necessary to do if they're making a comment about your body or about something where it's like really uncalled for. Yeah. You could say that's a really weird thought to say out loud. Some thoughts are inside thoughts. You don't have to voice everything that comes into your head. Mm-hmm. If you were to say that.
Yeah. That's an inside thought.
Yeah. I think that's a...
Keep it that way.
No, you know what Maddie on TikTok said? She said, what? Oh, yeah, I forgot. R.I.P.
I wouldn't know.
No, she didn't die. Chelsea just doesn't have TikTok. She said that one of her favorite new insults is to say, oh, your mic is hot. Basically being like,
screaming.
Why are you saying that?
Yeah. That's
like,
funny.
That's a thought you should keep to yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, ooh, careful, your mic's hot.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one too.
I love that.
This is a really sticky one.
Yeah.
And I think both of you, I fear you're not going to see eye to eye on this.
And, you know, for the sake of playing both sides of this, the only thing you can do in these situations really is control. You can't control what happens to you. You can only control how you react to them. But you can just be confident in your choices. Right. And maybe don't be so judgy towards them. Like, it's their life. It's their problems. Let them.
Mm-hmm. So true.
And don't worry about what they're doing, because I feel like that will play into you feeling
defensive,
creating a narrative in your head that they think you're weird and some health freak, but you're also kind of judging them for not taking care of their health because you've obviously noticed a lot of their patterns and taken note of it and have opinions about them. So that's kind of the definition of judging somebody, you know?
Right.
So I think if you stop worrying about them and stop judging them and just worry about your own, like, be proud of yourself for your routines and being awesome at, you know, staying with your health and your wellness and your just taking care of yourself. I think that's great. Just focus on that. And then if they're saying stuff, it just rolls off your back a little easier. It's just like, oh no, I don't eat gluten-free and dairy-free. Like, I love pizza, or like, I love dough, or whatever it is. And then it's just not a big thing.
I think so too. I think the more confident you feel about your own decisions, the less the comments will bother you probably. And that takes time. Like, not always going to be 1,000% confident, but I think you can get more and more
Yeah.
there by the day.
Definitely.
Hey girls, I absolutely love you both in the pod. I have especially loved listening about each of your transitions to motherhood. It makes me so excited because I'm due with my first baby girl in July.
Ooh.
Congrats! My husband and I have had a baby name picked out for both a girl and a boy since we were first married about 2 years ago. The girl name we love I discovered before we even started dating when my coworker simply told me her sister's name. No special meaning behind it, I just thought it was beautiful and kind of unique. It's unique enough that I've never met someone in person with this as a first name. Anyway, we were 100% going to use this name, but my cousin and his wife just used the name on their first baby girl last year. I was shocked and honestly so sad. I cried for like a week straight because I felt like I wouldn't be able to use the name.
Who? Her cousin?
My cousin and his wife.
Okay.
I talked to some friends and family and they think it's totally okay for me to use the name, but I still just feel weird about it. My family's super close with extended family and my cousin and I are the exact same age. We were close growing up, but honestly haven't talked in adulthood unless we're at a family gathering. We lived kind of close too, but just moved out of state and so did my family, so I honestly don't know the next time I'm going to see them. I feel like we'll really only see them maybe once every 2 years or even less than that. We probably will never live in the same state again. I'm worried what my cousin and extended family will think if I use the name. I don't want them to be upset that I used it or have it seemed like I copied them. I had another cousin my age, that's 26, use a very common baby name that an older cousin with like 5 kids had already used. And I remember my relatives, specifically my aunt who is this baby's, the name baby.
The name
baby?
The cousin's wife?
Huh? I'm getting confused.
Who just had the baby?
Yeah. So specifically my aunt, who is that baby's grandma.
Okay.
Thinking that was so weird that he used the same name, even though these two cousins were not close or haven't talked in like 10 years. Sorry for the long and jumbled explanation. Basically, I'm just wondering if you think we should use the baby name or not. I'm seriously so in love with the name. We've already kind of started calling her by it, but every time I say it, I just kind of feel sick. And I worry that people thinking I copied them. My husband still thinks we should use it and doesn't see it as a big deal at all, but I feel a little weird about it.
Okay, the fact you've already called her that, like it's done. Like
just use it. Yeah.
It's her name.
It's not that deep.
It's really not. And there's going to be so many people in your baby's life that are going to call her that name, that are going to know her by that name. And 1/1000th of the people, that probably less than like a smaller percentage of that, are the people like your extended family and the cousins, maybe the 10 people who know that she has the same name as her cousin, her second cousin. Like, that is really going to be so irrelevant.
Yes, I think so too. I think it's not that deep. People are going to judge for a second if they do, like you're saying, if your family's weird about this, and give it literally 6 months and they'll never think about it again.
No. If you really wanted to, I don't think you have to do this at all, but if you wanted to kind of clear your conscience of it, you could send a message to your cousin and his wife or whatever, if you see them, and just be like, funny story, we actually have had that name as our baby name for our girl forever. Yeah. And I've been wanting to like bring it up that we'll probably name. Wait, did she say she knows it's a girl?
Yeah.
Okay. We're probably going to name our daughter it. Just wanted to give you a heads up in case you saw the baby announcement and we're like, wait.
Yeah.
What?
I would definitely do that.
Just be kind of funny about it. Like, they're going to be twinsies. And if they're mad, it's like, sorry. The thing is they got to use it first. So that's why it's even better for you. If it was like, oh, they're going to have a baby, and I heard, that's when it gets sticky, where it's like they're after you. But it's like you're the one who looks like you're stealing it, quote unquote. So who cares? If you know you didn't and you didn't, then just name it.
Yeah, I think especially because you haven't really talked in adulthood. It's like, you're really not that close with her. And
they're going to be like second cousins or something like that.
They're not going to be super intricately like related or around each other a lot. There are a million names in the world. Like, I just feel like it's really not that big of a deal. I get it though. I feel like, especially when a name you feel like is unique and then someone you know uses it, you're like, dang. Like, it's just kind of lost its flavor. I think I've said this before, which I don't think this is happening to you because she literally said they call her this and they still love it and they still want to use it. But like, I had someone close-ish to me use a name that was on my list that I liked. The second they used it, I honestly like stopped liking it. And not in a way that like, I just felt like I really pictured myself naming a kid that name. And I was like, I don't think I even would want to because of like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right anymore. Mm-hmm. And so therefore I was like, I almost got less sad about it. Like, I was sad about it for like a week. also I was going through infertility, so we can add that on. I'm sure that added to it. But do you know what I mean? I just was kind of like, after a week, I was over it. I was like, I actually don't even think I'd want to use that name anymore. But what I'm saying is, if that's not happening to you, you have to go with your gut.
Yeah.
Like that, the name Benny was never on my list until I was pregnant with her and it felt right. So if this name feels right to you and you literally call her that and it feels right, you can't care about what other people are saying.
No, you just got to go with it. Also, maybe this is a hot take. If the main and only thing you like about your baby name is that it's unique, I don't think it's the right name, because
True.
I feel like that will not stand the test of time. Maybe it will be a super unique name and super crazy, but if the only thing is like, oh, well, no one else has this name. I'm not saying if it is unique and you also love how it sounds or you feel like it fits them. There's so many different reasons why you love a name for your baby. But if the only thing that's driving you is like, well, it's just so unique, it's so different, then my opinion is that I don't think it's the right name.
Because they're just like trying to be unique.
Yeah, because it's just like, well, that is so... that can change so fast. That could become the next trending name then tomorrow. Right. You know what I mean? And then what you're going to hate the name. Like that is one sure way, if you only like it because it's unique and you've never really heard it before, to hate the name in 10 years if something were to happen and it started trending or something. But if you love it and you think it's unique on top of that, even if it becomes trending, then you're still going to like it because you're like, well, I like that name. Yeah. And that's you. I felt good about that
and
name.
You've had it for years. You really... Yeah. So I think you got to go with your gut. And I really don't think it matters that much in this specific scenario. Like if it was literally your best friend. Yeah. Like, okay. And your kids are going to grow up together. It's like, maybe not. But in this situation... You're fine. I think it's fine. I think it's going to be okay. And we also do make such a bigger deal of it these days with social media and seeing people's baby announcements. And like everything just feels... I think like a bigger deal and more connected than it really is. Yeah. When back in the day, they didn't like see each other's stuff all the time. And tons of people probably had the same name. They didn't even know.
Honestly, if my cousin had a baby, and I have lots of cousins, if one of them had a baby tomorrow and named him Elwood, I would actually not care one single bit. Yeah. I'd be like, oh, cool. Twinsies. Yeah. Now, again, if the person I see every single day, I'm like the best friend that's not in this room.
Yeah. Okay.
Just kidding. That was just a slip up. But if my best friend named their kid something, or my sibling, that's their literal cousin. But even my sibling, honestly, even if like...
No, that would be weird.
In like a year or two, if they were like...
Abby's like, I'm going to name him Elwood. But you'd be like, what the freak?
But if they were like, this is literally my favorite name. I've had this name and I've always wanted to, and it's the only name that fits. I would be like, well, yeah, Abby. I'd be like, okay, well, what the freak? But... I don't know. I just don't feel like it is that big a deal to them because they already named their baby.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if they named it after me, go for it. You can do whatever you want. You can name all your babies same name as my babies. But
true. So you're saying hopefully that person won't really care that much.
I don't think they'll care.
Yeah.
Okay. If they do, they're weird.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree. And I think texting them for a heads up, definitely not necessary if you're not that close with them, but I also would do that. I feel like if I was naming my kid the same name as one of my cousins, I would probably text them and be like, wait, this has been on my list forever. I just want you to know, like, just a heads up, I am naming her this. Whatever. Yeah. I think it's all going to be fine. But congrats on the baby. I love a summer baby. Summer baby girl. So fun.
I want to know the name. I was hoping she was going to say the name.
Me too. Just come on. Tell us.
DM it to us.
Yeah. I want to name it. I want to know it too. I'm like, and I'd like to name her and be her godmother. Please.
I'd like to add that to my name list.
Please give me your info.
You change Benny's name to whatever it is. Actually, I love that.
Thank you guys for writing in. And we have a little anonymous question box, like link thing now on our Instagram that we're going to start posting more of for these like write-ins, not for advice, but for other stuff coming up. So make sure
we want to do more stories, but for no reason. Okay. We've just felt very called to doing more story episodes. We love it.
So make sure you are following us on Instagram is my point. It's at What We Said Podcast. That's our hub. And we'll post on stories when we're doing like an upcoming episode that you guys can be a part of and write into because we love your submissions so much. And make sure you're following us on TikTok. It's at What We Said. On YouTube if you want to watch. Thank you so much for listening. And
that's what we said. Goodbye.